So those are the kind of things. And for fundraising, you know, I think this is one of the things that I've talked to parents, and they're more than willing to fundraise for this because they think this is a top priority.
Thank you, Matthew.
So I bring experience as a subject matter expert, contract project government, and counterterrorism and force protection. And what that means is we would have facilities that we would make sure that they stayed safe. And we run through exercises, we run through drills. We try all kinds of different ways to trip them up and to see what kind of damage we could do. And having that experience and taking it back to the school level to look where we are actually weak, where actually we could improve. And Jeannie is absolutely right when she says mental health is an area that we can improve on the most. You know, we have kind of it's a structural secrecy, it's almost a social secrecy on the Hill, where people are afraid to admit that there's a problem. They're afraid to say anything if they see some behavior that's going wrong. And if you look at a lot of the dangers that our students face, they don't show all the red flags in the same place. They may show it on the soccer field. They may show it at recess. They may show it in the classroom. But unless somebody is there to actually put all those pieces together, we're missing the red flags. And this is a situation that has played out over and over and over again with devastating results. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we're talking to each other. You know, the whole see something, hear something, say something, it's simple, but it works. We need to make sure that we are focused. Now, there's all kinds of, physical barriers that we can create, and we have a run, hide, fight, but we really need to make sure our students are prepared.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, safety, security, wellness, all go together. And I think it's clear from all the incidents around the country that wellness plays a major component in all these situations that have occurred. We need to make sure that we're reaching the kids who are detached and isolated and being inclusive of them. We need to provide the services and support for them to be part of the community and so that they feel connected and have purpose. And I really think it's important that we continue to increase the wellness investment in the community. And we really, as a community, if you think back, we really were not talking about the wellness issue probably 3 years ago. So it is something that we really have focused a lot of attention in the last several years, and I think we're getting better, and we can still get better at. We will be tomorrow, come to the board meeting, the 3:30 workshop, and I think you'll hear some things about security. We are going to go through the risk assessment that we did, and that's important. We talked a second ago about site-based fundraising, but when we talk about safety and security, I think it's important to do allocations of resources by risk, and so we have a risk assessment across the district. Also, I think one of the other things you may start hearing something about is deploying SROs, school resource officers, on the school sites. That's something that the board, I think, is going to explore in conjunction with the cities, and that's something that's worthy of dialogue to see if we can address the issues.
Thank you. Megan?
Safety is definitely a big priority in our schools, so I think continuing with the Run, Hide, Fight program, that's something that's really important. And then also looking at each individual school site to see what we can do to make them safer. I don't think that the one solution is to put fences around every school. I think it's up to each individual school site to see if it works for them, but also each school is so geographically different that it may not work. Just like having one entrance into a school site, I have that at my middle school right now where everyone has to enter through the office and they kind of need to be scanned in and those things. So that might work at some school sites, but not others. I can think of Soliato, for example, that has the different pods. It doesn't seem like it would really work there. So those are physical things, but the main thing is mental health. So going back to those resources, targeting those kids who are feeling left out, looking for the warning signs of that, maybe having support groups for them too. Those are all important things. Also that's important for safety is bullying. Bullying is unfortunately a big issue at school sites, but also cyberbullying too. I have students who are dealing with that currently, and that is also something that's important to address. We have these socio-emotional programs like Second Step that I do at my middle school as well. So we need to continue that. We need to focus on cyberbullying and address that as well so that students can feel safe at school and at home too.
Thank you. Okay, the next question will begin with Matthew. At one of the school board meetings, the superintendent mentioned that there are students that are not meeting proficiency for English and math. How would you advise the superintendent on ways that we can assist these students who are not at grade level?
That's, again, Jeannie, and this is a terrific question, and I'm surprised you didn't get that one first. So we had an issue at Matamalaga, and wonderful school, but some of our students were struggling. And so I talked to the principal, like, what can we do? It's not like there's a ton of money going around. And she said, we can bring in high school students to provide tutoring sessions and to provide group workout, basically work sessions. It's free, and it gives the high school students, community service hours. And I think that's a terrific idea. I think, again, we go back to the community and find out where our strengths lie, and then we help our students that way. We also need to look, systematically. And if we see that a score is down, among cohorts, maybe fourth grade has always been down in their testing, then we understand that it's an anomaly. If we notice that there are spikes here and there, we need to analyze that data and use it for what it's worth. It's a baseline. It gives us just a starting point to go, this might take a little bit more investigation. So I think it's a combination. We use the resources that we have to help struggling students, and we keep an eye to make sure that our district is performing at the level that we expect it to.
Thank you. Rick?
I think that's a problem, and I think that's one of the reasons we hired a new superintendent, was to make sure that we get our academic performance back to where it should be. But it's a multifaceted answer and approach that you need to take. So part of it is doing a better job in terms of teaching our teachers to be better teachers. The teachers that aren't able to get their kids up to grade level, we need to improve their teaching through better professional development and instructional coaching. We need to do a better job of using interim testing along the way so that we can understand where the achievement and learning gaps are with each classroom of students, so that the areas and concepts that they're not actually learning, that we actually teach them, and so that they do better the next time they take the test. And we need to do that not just at the end of the year at a one-time May CAS testing window, but part of teaching every day in the classroom is instructing and then testing the kids, either in teacher-given tests or standardized tests to understand how well the kids are understanding the concepts, and where they're having trouble, giving them help. And giving them help also means doing intervention. One of the things that I like about one of our elementary schools, and it's great that we have 10 elementary schools because we get 10 different approaches from the principal sometimes. At Point Vicente, Beth Hadley implemented 100% intervention for all K-2 kids. And that's important because if you don't have a kid at second grade up to grade level, they have a really tough time catching up.
Thank you. Megan?
So the superintendent did say that 25% of our students aren't meeting grade level standards in math and language arts. That's a problem. So my expertise and my background as a teacher, I think I could bring some great ideas to the table and advise the superintendent. One thing in particular that I have at my middle school is a program called Tutorial. It's an intervention program that happens twice a week. It's 30 minutes. And this allows students to go to individual teachers that they need help on. Teachers will have a specific topic for that session or that day. For example, we've been working on decimal operations. And so I'll take students who are needing help with adding and subtracting. Another teacher will take students who need help with multiplying decimals. So Tutorial is a program that doesn't cost any money. It does need to be voted on by the teachers, but having that intervention program twice a week is very important to students. And the students that don't need that help, they use that 30 minutes twice a week to work on homework. So it really helps everyone. I think that's important. Also, it's important that teachers use common assessments. Common assessments at each grade level in each subject, so we can accurately see where students are falling to make sure that one teacher doesn't have particularly harder questions or easier questions. If we have a baseline and common assessment that everyone's using, we can accurately see where students are falling and how we can help them.
Thank you.
So next year we have we're going to start the adopting of our curriculum wholly. And Manhattan Beach, who's outscored us this 2 years in a row, has already adopted their curriculum. So in some ways they're better at teaching to the test than we are. So that's one way to look at it. I assume that when we adopt the curriculum, we will be testing better because that's just who we are with Palos Verdes Unified School District, and we perform well when given the chance and the tools. And that's really important to understand that critical part of it. Another thing that we could do, and I've talked to Brent Egan at Meerkat, and he said, man, I wish we could have more reading specialists because, man, that's what we need. We need the kids who are in the middle or on the lower end who need a little boost. And one of the things when I walked around and talked to so many people in the community, one of the things I've been so happy to hear is people saying, hey, what can I do to help? My kids are graduated out of the school district, but I want to come back. This is a great way to include the community into helping us by picking up the slack because that won't cost us anything. And it's also people who want to come back and help out. I went to Manhattan Beach School District and they actually have reading specialists who volunteer. And there are people who are retired. And I think that's a program that could be definitely enacted here.
Thank you. The next question, we're going to begin with Rick. Do you feel the district is maximizing its use of technology and outsourcing to save money on non-classroom functions? And if not, I guess, what are some of your ideas to be able to do more? You want me to read that again?
Sure.
Yeah. There's a missing letter here, that's why. Do you feel the district is maximizing its use of technology and outsourcing to save money on non-classroom functions? And if not, what are some of your ideas to be able to do more? Did that come out better?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with the premise of the question, which is that we should maximize the outsourcing, it seems like, of technology. Sometimes it's cheaper to do in-house. Sometimes it's cheaper to do, outside services. So I think it depends. This is not an area that I've studied that says, hey, we need to do more of this kind of technology. I will say that when I go around all of the sites, the most underutilized space, without a doubt, in all the sites are the desktop computer labs. And so the move to Chromebooks throughout the district, I think, was an important move. We are moving towards a 1-to-1 ratio. We've done it, phased in over time, much slower than people would have liked, but that's because of the budget limitations. But that is where we're headed at third grade and above, with at high school supplemented by a bring your own device type of program. Other technology that we outsource, cell phones, yes, we outsource it. Internet backbone, totally outsourced. The student portal system that we use, Aries, which everybody uses to get the grades and the information, and the teachers use to track results, outsourced. So I'm not really sure what the premise is really looking for on this question, and I'm not sure it's the right question.
Sorry. Megan.
So I definitely think that our use of technology can be improved in our schools. In Redondo Beach, we do have a 1-to-1 Chromebook program with students 3rd grade on up. They have a Chromebook that they take home with them every night, and we use this program called Google Classroom, and each teacher has a Google Classroom where they post assignments, resources for students, and students can turn in things online. I think it's great to hear that we're moving towards that. It's something that does need to be implemented slowly due to the cost of it. In Redondo, we do have Chromebooks that tend to break down, and so then we have people who need to go and fix them, and we give students loaners in the meantime so that they have a computer. So I know that there's all of these ongoing costs with technology. But I still think that it's important that we're moving in that direction and moving towards one-to-one Chromebooks. I think that all students do enjoy it. There's obviously some downsides. There can be some distractions at times, but I think it's great for students to be able to just open up their Chromebook, start a research project, or turn in something online and not have to wait for the carts to come around. There's also many different things that we can do with the Chromebooks in different aspects of technology too that I could bring to the board if elected.
Okay, thank you. Jeannie?
I like technology, and we do have Chromebook cards, and I'm seeing it more and more. But I have to be honest, I always said when we have a quality teacher, they could take a blackboard in the middle of the field and teach our kids. And I think that's really important to look at. We are a heavy society of technology, but part of me says we need to pull back a little bit in the classroom and in other places, that we need to be teaching our kids more on a personal level, and I think that's really important. I think the question is talking about outsourcing. We outsource a lot of our technology in our school district, Aries, everything else, and I'm glad we do it. It probably saves us money. But I think the real question we have to ask ourselves is how much technology do we have in the classroom, how much is appropriate, and what's really important, how to teach our kids. You know what? A computer cannot have a relationship with your child, but a teacher, when they make your child feel better and give them confidence, that's what's really important. So yes, technology is important, but it has its place in our district.
Okay, Jeannie? Matthew?
I understand the question to be reflective more of at the district level as opposed to the classroom, so I will address it that way. Are we taking full advantage of the technology? No, I believe that our payroll is still done, pen and paper. That can definitely be moved along a little bit and make that process more efficient. We have school board meetings with cameras that, there's a lot of areas that we could improve our capability to stay in touch with the community. And that's what the district level should be looking at, is technology that keeps us engaged with the community. When we're talking about outsourcing, I think the biggest concern that we have is privacy. Where is that information going? Do we want our students' information out there? So when you have things that stay in the district, they stay in the district. When you bring in an outside source, where is that information going, and do we want somebody else to know it? So I honestly don't have that solid of an answer on what we need to do with technology, but I think there are areas that we can push it, that we can look at outsourcing, as long as we can take the privacy concerns of our students seriously.
Thank you. The next question is going to go first to Meg. Recognizing that there is a special education encroachment of 20% in our school district, how do you plan to address this issue?
So kind of like I stated before, special ed does take a lot of our funding, but it is important. We should help all students no matter what their needs are. I think first and foremost, we need to build relationships with the families early on when the children are starting school and starting the special ed process with IEPs. Obviously, we need to follow the laws of the state, and it's important that we don't over-accommodate students or under-accommodate them. We need to meet the individual needs of the students, and that's why we have IEPs again, individualized education plans. Each student is different. So I think that if we start early in the child's education process, we give them the least restrictive environment again, which is the law, and actually have a working relationship with families and come to the table both saying we want what's best for your children and not kind of a one-way street. I think that will minimize litigation and maximize our ability to serve all students.
Thank you. Judy?
Well, one of the things we can do is actually enroll our students in an account. There is companies that will do that for us, and what we do is we get reimbursed for services. That will save us somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year. We will get reimbursed for that service, and we can put that money into maybe foreign language in elementary school. But that is something we could start. And actually, there's companies who would do it almost turnkey for us, so it would take some effort from our part. But I think long-term, that would save us money. I've also reached out to the special ed community and talked to several parents. And so what happens is when you have services, you might have a speech therapist who's certified. And then you might have an occupational therapist who is also certified. But and I talked to them about it, and they're willing to do like occupational aid, who could also provide services, and also speech therapist aides. And that will save us money on staffing. So those are two ways we can cut directly from the special ed budget without sacrificing service. And that's really important to understand. Also, when you look at when I talk to the special ed parents and I'm having a conversation, a lot of them lawyer up because they have issues with the district. And it's an adversary relationship. And when the district and parents have lawyers, guess who the winners are? Lawyers. And I've talked to the parents, and they've spent quite a bit of money to get services. And at the end, I will tell you, they do get the services because they have a legal right to it. If we could start building a relationship of trust with special ed community, I think we could really cut down on our legal fees. And that's really important. And we can start a relationship at the beginning stage and keep going all the way to high school. Thank you.
Matthew?
Yeah, I agree that IEPs, they are one of the more challenging aspects that we need to address. Parents are going to want whatever they can for their student. The district is going to want to pay as little as they can for the student. And oftentimes, if you don't trust each other, you're never going to be satisfied. So we need to work on developing trust. We need to understand that the district is caring for your student the same way as you are. One of the costs that we run into is parents have gone through such an arduous task of getting services that they will over-service. They will try to get extra assistance that's not necessary at this time, but they want it so they don't have to fight for it later. And unfortunately, we need to streamline the process so that the students are getting what they need now, and that if it changes, that we are quick to change with them. If we have 20% encroachment, right now 10% of our budget is spent on legal fees. So why not, really work with parents to build that trust so that lawyers are the last option. As Jeannie said, they're the only ones that win in this. And so with our students, make sure they get what they need. Parents, trust the district really does care. And if we can work together, then everybody will benefit. But if we fight with each other, nobody's going to win.
Thank you. And Rick?
So one of the unique things about this election is that there's two people running who actually have special ed kids. So you're guaranteed to have a board that represents the special ed community. And that's the first time in a long time. And I think that that's actually a good thing, to have that kind of representation on the board. I do think that the whole IEP process is very contentious right now. I think it's historically been that way. It's probably gotten more contentious at certain points, probably getting less contentious at certain points. Hopefully we're trying to get a little less contentious. But I think that a big part of it is trust. And we do need to focus on what's best for that particular child, making sure that that child gets the education that they're entitled to. And there needs to be the trust that it's not just about, hiring an advocate so that you can get as many services as possible for your kid, because that's winning the battle. Because that's not winning the battle. What's winning the battle is getting the child the best services in the manner that provides for the child, right? And so one of the problems that we have is in that accumulation of services, that the kid keeps getting pulled out for all these services from his other classrooms. And so he doesn't get a continuous experience. And so sometimes it's better for the child to actually get less services, even though that may not be winning the battle. And part of it is also once you get the services, the parents seem to be reluctant to give them up because they don't believe the district will give them back, and that's a matter of trust.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to your closing statements.
I was ready for you.
Actually got you.
Oh my God, I was ready for the hardest question ever.
Yes. We want to leave a little time at the end for you all to have a chance to talk informally with the candidates, and if they have some literature, to see what their literature is. So we'll go in reverse order from our opening statements, which will be Megan coming this way with Jeannie being last.
Thank you.
So thank you everyone again for coming here tonight, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Chamber of Commerce and RPV HOA for hosting us tonight. We can all agree that whether we have kids in the school district or not, that we should all care about the well-being of our students. Our schools need to higher property values, and obviously that's important too. We should all care about the well-being of them. I think that you should elect me to the board because I have a diversity of expertise again that is needed. I'm a former student of the district. I'm a lifelong resident of Palos Verdes. I'm a property owner, so I care about our schools. And also I'm a teacher, right? This is the Board of Education, and we should have one person who has that education background and that curriculum experience. That is me. If I am not elected, there will be no one on the board with that background, and that is a big mistake. We should have one person. So please vote for me, Megan Crawford, if you believe in the younger generation wanting to make a difference, former student of the district, and a teacher's perspective on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Rick?
I'd again like to thank the League of Women Voters, especially Nancy this time for moderating the debate, RPV Council of Homeowners, and the PVP Chamber. And you all for missing the Dodger game. I'm wondering what the score is, if anybody has an update. 5-4 us or them? Them. No, that's not as good. So, once again, this forum has addressed a number of important issues: budget, safety, fundraising, technology, equity. Didn't get the food question this time, which was the surprise one last time. But I think it's important that when you look at the board, that you put people on the board that have the knowledge and experience to address these complex, multifaceted issues. And they're able to engage the community to get the community's viewpoint on all of these. So with that, I look forward to working with the community and fellow board members to ensure our kids receive the best education possible if I'm elected. And I ask for your vote on November 6th.
Thank you. Matthew?
I want to thank everybody for the questions tonight. I feel that we've started to hit the tip of the iceberg of the problems facing our district, and that you have an opportunity to see kind of insight that the candidates are going to bring to the board. I'm actually very excited about the opportunity, the possibility that I might be working with them. They all bring unique experience, and they all have a unique viewpoint. I will agree with Rick, though, that experience really does matter in these situations. It is what you've been through. It's what you're through when your child goes through an IEP. It's what you go through when your child is bullied. It's what you go through when your child doesn't want to wake up or go to school, or you worry about him during the day. This is all experience. You have experience when you know what it's like, to wonder, hey, you know what, money's a little tight. And the money's going to be tight for the district too. It's that experience that's going to make a difference for the board.
Thank you. Jeannie?
I'd like to thank everyone who came tonight, and thank you so much for putting on the forum. You know what? Actions speak louder than words. There was questions asked and thousands of words said, but they're just words. Without the experience and the ability to roll up your sleeves and get to work and have ideas how we can bring change and innovation to this district, they're just words. I have a proven track record with the non-toxic cleaning products, the electrical upgrade at Ridgecrest, and sitting on so many PTA executive boards. I'm solution focused. I look at problems and I say, I don't see it as a problem. I say, how can we solve this? And I have had experience with working with the district and the PTA and the community to work on problems together. And that's really important. What I have to tell you is that I'm a parent. I've known the joys, the sadness that all of you have felt. And from my opening statement, you know that I've cried 1,000 tears. You want somebody on the Board of Education who has also had that same experience and who knows what it takes to help your child succeed in the school district and in their life. Thank you.
Let's give them a big hand. really good questions. I'm sorry we didn't get to the 500 that you all turned in. And I also want to commend all of the candidates because they were very well prepared and very well spoken. Thank you very much.